All right, let's get this party started. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Hubert Payne, thank you guys for joining us tonight for our webinar, How to Become a Published Author in Less Than 6 Months Without Giving Up the Rights to Your Book. I'm incredibly excited about this, guys. I'm going to cover 3 important things. Here's the framework I'm going to be using tonight. Self-publishing versus traditional publishing. And that's a key question I get asked all over the country. Should I self-publish or should I try to get a traditional publisher? And I'm going to show you both sides of the equation. We're going to show you how to test ideas to get your book moving in the right direction. And I'm actually going to test some new book ideas on you to let you see which book title you would choose for my next book, because you can actually test these. And then I'm going to give you the ultimate secrets to becoming a bestseller. I have had 2 bestsellers. And we're going to show you the science behind becoming a bestseller and how to get your numbers where they need to be. I'm going to bring in Andy Garrison, who is part of our Monster Publishing division. He just wrote a book for me, A Legacy Selling, my newest book. We're going to talk about that process and how he can do that for you as well. We're going to be calling on him throughout the night to offer some expertise on how to make it a bestseller, on how the book writing process can do it, and if you want a ghostwriter, how the ghostwriting process works. Now, in this webinar, I'm going to walk you through the benefits of self-publishing versus traditional publishing. Okay, I've had 2 published books by national publishers that you would know, Wiley and Simon & Schuster, and I have self-published books. I'm working on a new publishing book right now that would be a national publishing book. So I'm going to show you the benefits of self-publishing versus traditional publishing. I'm going to give you testing ideas to keep you moving in the right direction, because early in my career, I would write books because I had a thought, right? I didn't test the idea. I didn't know how to market the idea. I just wrote the book because I thought it would be a cool book to write. And I'm going to show you actually how you can test covers. You can test book ideas. You can test things before you spend all this time and energy in writing the book. Okay. And also, I'm going to show you how to get in the right direction of making it a bestseller, the ultimate secrets, because there are secrets to making a book a bestseller that many people never know. World-renowned ghostwriter Andy Garrison will be joining us, as he's actually helped me write the book Legacy Selling, which I mentioned right before. Now, if you would like to get a strategy session with me on the concept of your book, on the structure of your book, on an outline of your book, then all you have to do to get that is text message Eric White, who's on here with us. He posted his number. He can post it again, or Lake and Hibden, and we will be doing a strategy session with you. And this could be worth its weight in gold, just to spend a few minutes talking about your book. Let me play some pros and cons about your book, and let me help you get in the right direction. Be a little mini coaching session on your book to get you up and get you started. Now, you can also invest in the $1 Million Coaching Summit workbook by clicking on the link. Katrina Gray will click the link here. There it is. If you want to get the workbook that goes with my $1 Million Coaching Summit, breaking down the speaking, the coaching, the training, and leading, and you're going to see tonight why that is so critical to this equation. The book gives you a message. The message gives you a talk. The talk gives you the ability to get in front of people. When you get in front of people, you need something to sell them, which could be more speaking. It could be more coaching. It could be an online product. It could be one product, right? And this is a mistake I made for many, many years, is I would speak and I'd get applause and people would tell me they did a great job. And all I had to sell was a book. And I'd sell the book and I'd go home thinking it was an incredible night, only to realize that I probably left millions of dollars on the table when I could have a scalable product, an online program, a coaching program, a summit, a retreat, all of those things. So I would encourage you, click on the link and get the workbook that goes with my $1 Million Coaching Summit. It's a very thorough workbook that walks you step by step through the speaking, coaching, training, leading piece. Now let's get started. I got some questions for you. How many of you feel like you have a song to sing and people to sing it to? Right? That's probably why you're here tonight. You got a song inside of you and you feel like there are people who want to hear that song, right? You got a song, you got people to sing it to. Have you ever wanted to publish your own book, but you thought it was too complicated? Do you believe that your life experiences would be valuable to other people? And I want you thinking about who specifically your life experiences would be valuable to, right? For whom would this book be written? What problem would it solve? How many of you have been deeply impacted by a great book? You see, for me, at 18 years old, one of my mentors said to me, if you don't read another book this year, stop by the bookstore and pick up a copy of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I had never read a personal growth book. I had never read a leadership book. I'd only read books they gave me in school. And I read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And guys, that changed my life forever. It taught me the power of a great book. Those principles would be principles I use even to this day at 43 years old to run my coaching business, to coach other people. So I believe a good book can change a person's life. Just like I believe everybody needs a good coach, I believe a good coach, a good book can become your coach. It can change your life. It can inspire you. It can motivate you. And I also believe you have a book like that inside of you. This webinar is going to show you how to publish your book in less than 6 months, because you're probably thinking this is hard. This is going to be difficult. This is going to be complicated, right? Who will buy my book, right? These are things that I want you to start thinking about, because I'm going to remove some of these considerations in your mind. Okay. I want to show you and thank you for showing up to invest your time in yourself. It was an investment I made at 25 years old to go through the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People certification program that would literally change my life forever. I borrowed $2,500 from my own mother. I made the investment in myself, and I went through those 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I became certified in those, and those 7 habits would help me generate millions of dollars over the next 15 to 20 years. So thank you for showing up, and thank you for investing in yourself. Now, I've written 16 books. Okay, number 16 is coming out. That one's coming out with the help of Andy Garrison, who's with us tonight. And I have a methodology to create books in less than 3 to 6 months. Some of the books I've written literally in one day when I was inspired, on one plane ride back from something, when I got to an inspirational place and I pumped the book out. Okay, so I want to get out of your mind that you got to write War and Peace, and it's got to be this thick, and it's going to take you 10 years. Now, your book may take you 10 years, but it doesn't have to take you 10 years, right? I want to tell you that I've literally written books out by my swimming pool. I've written them in the mountains. I've written them on cruise ships. I've written them at my house when I got inspired, right? What I'm going to share with you is very important to taking your dream of writing a book and turning it into a reality. Now, what's in this for you? When we're finished tonight, this is what I want for you. Number one, I want you to have a clarity about the publishing process. Number two, I want you to have the motivation it takes to get started. There's a huge cost here to indecision. There's a huge cost to you not moving. There's a huge cost to having this idea for a book that's just sitting in there for years and you never do anything with it. Sometimes you just need to hear from somebody who's done it. You can do this, right? Sometimes all you need is a push from a person who has a demonstrated capacity to take action. Now, who is the webinar for? It's obviously for people who have a message inside of them that they want to bring to the market. It's for people who want to monetize a message. It's for people who want a structure on how to get started. If you stay to the end, I've got an incredible bonus that I'm going to give you. But you got to stay all the way to the end, because as I go, I'm going to be building like math. It's building and building and building and building. And I'm going to show you step by step exactly how to do that. Now, let me share some struggles that I've gone through during the process that's going to help you. When I first started writing my first book at 25 years old, I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a structure. I had no idea of what I was doing. My first book was for coaches. Okay. But here's the funny thing. Coaches didn't buy it. Because I had been coaching for 10 years, starting when I was 15 and I was 25, I made every mistake you could possibly make as a coach. Okay. And I thought at 25 years old, surely there's a manual for coaches. Surely there's something that can show people how not to make these mistakes. So I got inspired and I sat down and I literally hand wrote a book that I would call Changing Lives Through Coaching, because I believe a good coach can change your life. Now, thank goodness I wrote that book, although I didn't know what I was doing, although I didn't have a coach, although I didn't have a mentor, although I didn't have a publisher. Thank goodness I wrote that book, because it was when I wrote that book that I got clarity of my message. And I began to generate speaking engagements because I had a message. The book gives you a message. The message is critical. The message is inside of you. It just needs to be refined. It needs to be honed. It needs to be brought out. So when I think back over my career, someone was asking me, what's the single greatest thing you've done to build your speaking business? I said, I started writing books. Because when I wrote books, it gave me clarity of thought. When it had clarity of thought, it gave me clarity of message. When I had a message, now I've got a point of view. Now that I've got a point of view, I need to go out into the world and I need to share that point of view. Okay. The book would initiate my speaking career. If you just called somebody up today and said, hey, I want to speak at your conference, or I'm interested in coming over and saying a few words, what qualifies you? What are they going to say? What's the message? What are we going to get out of it? What makes you important? What makes you a person of interest to say it? You say, well, I got a book out. And because I got a book, I got a message. And this is a message your people are going to want to hear, because it's going to change their life. It's going to stir their souls. It's going to touch them at a deep level. It's going to transform them. Okay. So the book initiated my speaking career because I started coaching at 15 years old. I had 10 years of experience and a demonstrated capacity. Okay. Demonstrated capacity means I had worked the muscle. I felt like I knew ups and downs. Now, here's my first big question for you. What do you have a proven track record in with real results? What do you have a proven track record in with real results? Okay. Think of it like this. Your book solves my problem. Your book inspires me to take action. Your book educates me. Your book helps me play at a higher frequency. It is your book based on your demonstrated capacity that makes you qualified to coach me through that book. Okay. What are you most qualified to write about? It's a very big question you got to start asking yourself. What are you most qualified to write about? I got this book in the mail the other day because people send books to my office, and it's called Habits of a Champion. And you say, well, what qualifies this guy to write this book, Habits of a Champion? Because nobody becomes a champion by accident. Coach Dana Cavalier. Well, he was the World Series champion performance coach for not the New York Mets, but the New York Yankees. He's qualified. Guess what he did? He won a World Series. He was a strength coach for the Yankees. So what did he do? He took his experiences from helping the Yankees win a championship, from being a strength coach, from working with some of the greatest players in the world, and he put it into a book. He is qualified to write that book. Now, I'm going to give you a way out of that one, because what if I told you when I wrote this book, Person of Interest, I wasn't that much of a person of interest then. I wanted to be a person of interest. I wrote this book from an aspirational perspective. So when you're thinking, what qualifies me to write a book, think about what have I done? What have I accomplished? What demonstrated capacity do I have? What is a question that many people ask me about over and over and over? Now, if you pay close attention to what I'm going to teach you tonight, you will be able to take the idea from your mind, turn it into a published book. And that's what it is. It's an idea that's put into something that another person can absorb. Who knows what can happen from there? Speaking engagements, opportunities, new doors are open, podcast requests. All of these things can happen, but I know this, your person of interest score is going to rise when you write the book. Now, let me give you some secrets. The first secret that you need to know, or something that I need to demystify for you, is that writing a book is hard and complicated. Okay. I want to decomplicate this for you. It is true that it takes discipline to sit down and write a book, but it is not hard. A book is a Word document. Listen very closely to what I'm about to say. A book is a Word document packaged up and made pretty by graphic designers so it can be absorbed. Okay. A lot of people look at a book and they say, oh my gosh, it's so complicated. What if I told you most of the books I write today, I write on my iPad, in the notes section of my iPad? When Andy wrote this latest book for me, Legacy Selling, he basically took my content, my words, my videos, and he put it into a book. And then in less than an hour, I sat down and said, add this story to the beginning, add this to this chapter, add this to that chapter. And the next thing you know, boom, voila, I've got a new book. Now that I got a new book, I got a new message. I can turn it into a program, a coaching program. I can turn it into a podcast, a webinar. There's all kinds of things I can do when I have that asset. Okay. But the first big secret I want to do for you is demystify the fact that you're going to say, well, this is so hard. Why even start? I could never write 15 books. That's probably what you're thinking. Listen, 15 books started with one book. A book is a Word document packaged up by a graphic designer, made pretty so it can be absorbed by a reader. Many choose to have a ghostwriter for their books as they have the ideas or the videos, right? Or can dictate but feel as though they're not good writers. That's okay. Many of you out there feel that way. I'm not a good writer. I wasn't a good English student. I don't know what to do. I have ideas, but I don't know how to do this. This is certainly an option. The ghostwriting for you is certainly an option. As we have a publishing division of our company called Monster Publishing, who can help you take the book and turn it from start to finish. And that's where Andy comes in, is he can actually help you take your book, take your ideas, put them in a book form. The next thing you know, you have a book on Amazon. You see, I was once in your shoes. When I wrote my first book, I didn't know what I was doing, guys. I sat down and wrote the book. And then thankfully, I had an aunt that worked at Middle Tennessee State University, who in the communications department. And she basically took my Word document, edited the book, packaged it up, put a cover on it, and we found a publisher called Instant Publisher. And an Instant Publisher, right, would print the books for us. That's literally how I wrote the first books. And then I had a friend come along who said this to me. He said, you don't want to write just one book, Coach. You want a library of books. And he literally sat down with a pen and paper and he said, tell me all of the books that you want to write in your lifetime. And I said, well, I want to write a book on leadership, and I want to write a book on personal growth, and I want to write a book on sales, and I want to write a book on coaching, and I want to write a book on how to do something big from a small town. And he had me draw them up. Here's the books that I'm going to write in my life. Now, we have a question. How can we take up the idea to book offer and move forward with Andy? Okay, great question. We're going to show you some options that we have tonight on how you can go through the publishing process through the Monster Publishing division. Okay. Also, we're going to show you how you can go through the coaching summit with us, and we can break down the publishing part of this, because the publishing part is a very critical part to the entire puzzle. Okay. So thank you for the question, and we're going to get to that. Now, like I said, my buddy told me, you don't want to write just one book, Coach. You want to write a series of books. You want a library of books. Okay. Now, because of our limited time tonight, there's really three things that I'm going to share with you from this entire system. Okay. Number one, here's the one secret. I want to write a book, but I don't know how to do it. That could be what you're saying tonight. Here's what I would tell you. You can do it. You just have to get started. Think of publishing as printing and distribution. That's when I think of publishing, that's what I think of. Okay. I think of writing, and then I think of publishing. Then I think of distribution. I got to write the book. I got to publish the book. I got to distribute the book, which would include marketing of the book, right? Think of publishing as printing and distribution. You have the intellectual property, all of the experiences you've had, all of the things you've gone through, all of the things you've been successful, all the things you failed, right? All of these things are critical. We have to get that intellectual property out of your mind and into something other people can absorb. They can read it or they can listen to it. Self-publishing, this is a key part of the equation. Self-publishing is when you own the entire project, from writing to editing to designing to printing to marketing and distribution of the book. Now, let me say that again. Self-publishing is when you own the entire process. You write the book, you get someone to edit the book, you get someone to design the book, you get someone to print the book, you market the book, and you distribute the book, okay? And I have self-published at least 12 to 13 of the books that I write. When I write these books as fast as I do, in less than 3 months, and we have from the time it's in my mind to the time it's on paper, to the time it's printed, that we create covers, till we buy the ISBN numbers, till we get everything together, in 3 to 6 months, now we have a new product to sell. I own the rights to it. Okay, focus on the word own. When you self-publish, you own the rights. Okay, now you got to decide which route you want to go. When you sign a publishing deal, you are giving up the rights of that book to the publisher. Okay, when you sign a publishing deal, like I had with Simon & Schuster, like I had with Wiley, I am taking my intellectual property and I am giving them the rights to it. I no longer own the rights to that book. Okay, so think of it like this. They own it. and they would pay you a royalty after everything has been paid for, meaning they got to print it. They got to figure out how they're going to market it. They got to get it in bookstores. After all of the expenses are paid, then they give you a royalty, which is typically about this big. Okay? Now, I want you to think of an author named Hal Urban. You wouldn't know Hal Urban because he's not a nationally known, famous author like John Maxwell or Tony Robbins or Stephen Covey or any of those people. But Hal Urban was a high school teacher, and he wrote a book for his kids called Life's 20 Greatest Lessons. And he basically wrote it for his kids, which was a noble reason to write it. But here's the deal. That little book got out to people. And Hal Urban sold 250,000 copies of that self-published book. Let's say he has a profit margin of $10 on each book. Hal Urban, the high school teacher, just made $2.5 million off his little book called Life's 20 Greatest Lessons. If a publisher had published that, he would probably get $1 to $2 off every book. He would have made most likely $250,000 off that book versus 2.5 million. So when you're thinking about the differences here, the benefits of self-publishing is ownership. The benefits of self-publishing is ownership. You own the rights. The benefits of being published is that you can become a person of interest. You see, you cannot get a self-published book in Barnes and Nobles, in the bookstore. You can't get a self-published book in airports. Okay, one of the coolest things that ever happened to me is when my book, Zebras and Cheetahs, was in all the airports. And as I was flying out to speaking engagements, my book, Zebras and Cheetahs, was right beside Tony Robbins and right beside John Maxwell and right beside all the greatest books. And I would go to the airport and I would sit there in the airport and I would watch to see if anybody would pick up my book, Zebras and Cheetahs. And every now and then I would walk over there and say, hey, what about that book right there? That looks pretty good. And they would pick it up and they'd say, no, who is Michael Burt? Like, who is Michael Burt? And I said, man, you know what? I hear he's a pretty good dude. I hear he writes really good books. You may not know him yet, but you're going to know him, right? Like, I would literally go to the airport and just sit and watch to see if they would pick my book up. But it was the coolest thing in the world for people to send me pictures and say, Coach, I see your book at Barnes and Nobles, and I see your book here, and I see your book there. And to this day, people are still buying that book, Zebras and Cheetahs. Now, when you think about publishing, signing a publishing deal, think bookstores, airports, other places. That's the distribution. You can't get a self-published book into those places. You can get it on Amazon, and Andy can help you through Monster Publishing get that book on Amazon. You can make it a bestseller on Amazon. Okay? So you can, through self-publishing, have a bestseller. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it up on Barnes & Nobles online. You can get it in your own bookstore. Okay? You just can't get it in airports. So I want you to think about that. Now, think bookstores and airports. A published book may take 2 years to write because of the process. To get a publishing deal, you have to get an agent. The agent will have to have enough status to broker your book deal to a major publisher, and the publisher will send you terms on the book you may or may not like. My first publishing deal, I got a small advance of $15,000. And here's the interesting part of the contract. They then told me that I would have to take all $15,000 of the advance and put it into marketing, because it costs $3,000 a month to put it in the airports, but not just put it in the airports, to put it in unique locations in the airports. So they said, Coach, we're going to give you $15,000 since you're a first-time author, first-time published author. But here's the deal. You got to use that $15,000. You got to hire a publicist, and you got to pay for the place in the airports, because the places in the airport is like buying real estate. You're buying real estate, okay? So that ate up my advance. Now, my team in New York City is working on a 6-figure advance for my next book. But it took me that many books to be able to get good enough and know how to position it properly. So remember, you own it or you give up the rights to it. That's the difference. There's not a right or wrong here, guys. I'm just giving you both sides of this equation, okay? You will write the help of the book with an editor, and then they will decide when the book comes out what the title of the book is, what price it will be, and how many they will print. If you buy the book back from the publisher to sell yourself, you will have to buy the book back from the publisher because you don't own it anymore. They own it. And you will buy it back at most likely an author rate. So I buy Everybody Needs a Coach in Life back from the publisher at $10 a book. I can then turn around and sell that book to the public for whatever I want to. If I can get $50 a book, then that's what I can sell. Now, let's stop and take a question here from Cynthia. Were your bestsellers through a publisher or self-published? Cynthia, that's a great question. Here's what I would tell you, and Andy will speak to this in just a minute as well. You can have a best-selling book under these terms. Typically, a best-selling book is a book that has sold 10,000 copies. Okay, 10,000 copies can make a book a bestseller. So let me give you an example. If this book called Million Dollar Follow-Up that I write sells 10,000 copies, then in the publishing world, that is considered a bestseller. Does it mean it's a bestseller on Amazon? Does it mean it's a bestseller on the Wall Street Journal? Does it mean it's a bestseller on those things? But I could tell people that this is a best-selling book because it sold 10,000 copies. Now, Andy will speak to the algorithms on Amazon, because on Amazon, for it to come to the bestseller, it's the number of copies sold in a concentrated period of time. So some of my books have sold 10,000 plus copies. We say that's a best-selling book because in the publishing world, it's a bestseller. If you have a book that you publish through a traditional publisher and you do not hit 10,000 copies, the likelihood of you getting a new book deal will be very minimal because the publisher wants to know how many units you can sell. Okay, great question. So I've had books that have been self-published that I would consider bestsellers. I've had books that have sold through a publisher. Everybody Needs a Coach in Life was an Amazon bestseller. And when it came out, it was #2 at one time in personal development and self-help, right behind Tony Robbins. It was Tony Robbins, Coach Burt, and my book stayed there for a period of time. And it was in the top 10 bestsellers on Amazon. Now, that's secret number one, self-publishing versus traditional publishing. Secret number two, you don't believe you can achieve the same results as someone else. You know, you may be sitting here looking at these books going, I can never do that. You may be thinking, I can never write 15 books. I can't even write the first book, but that's not true. 15 started by writing just one. Okay, it's just like anything else. It's like working a muscle, guys. You're getting better. You're getting better. You get in the game. You learn something. You can't sell a book until you have a book. I see so many people. Do you know the stats that they tell us that over 200 million people believe in the United States they have a book inside of them? 81% of Americans believe they should write a book, but why haven't they? Because of fear. They don't believe they can. They're worried nobody will purchase it. All of these considerations that people have. You may be thinking the same thing. You see, that one book opened up the power of a book because when I had the book, I had a message. And once you have a message, you have a point of view. Then you have something to say that other people will be interested in. If that message or point of view solves a significant problem, don't miss this part. If your book solves a significant problem in the world, if it inspires people, okay? If it creates that kind of value, then your message and book will take off, and this will open many doors for you. Now, we can easily test your ideas for a book by putting out key questions on social media, asking people close to you, pilot testing ideas until you have one that works. Okay, now we're currently testing names for my new book, which is about Prey Drive, how to activate that instinctual ability in you. So I'm going to give you 4 titles to show you how this works. Pretend I was putting them on Facebook, LinkedIn, on my Instagram. I want you to type in which title you would choose for my new book that I'm working on right now that we're trying to get a major publishing deal. Because I want to show you that you could do this. Instead of just writing a book and hoping that people read it, you can actually test the titles of that book. You can actually break that book down. So I want you to type in which title you think is the best. Number 1, Prey Drive, activating the primal drive in you to pursue your potential. Title 2, Flip the Switch, activating the drive in you to play at a higher level. Title 3, How to Use Fear as Fuel, activate the drive in you to succeed at the highest levels. And Title 4, Devour the prey in the morning, divide the spoils in the evening, how to activate the drive in you and your people. Now, out of those, I'd like to see which one you like the most. Jay Cash said, is there another choice? Of course, we keep going until we find one that we like. I'm seeing a lot of Prey Drive, simple and to the point. I'm seeing Flip the Switch. I'm seeing The Chase, which is Chelsea Cobreth, my president's favorite one. Jay Cash said the first one. Pray Drive, Fear is Fuel. Good. Now, here's what we're doing, guys. We're testing an idea. And this is what you should be doing. Testing an idea. You don't have to just go to the market with a book that nobody wants to read, right? You don't have to go to the market with something like you can literally test it. Last night, I asked a question on Facebook. Out of all the fears that people have today, what's the number one fear you think people have? And there were comment after comment after comment after comment. So I want you to get in your mind, and I didn't do these things when I first started. This was a huge mistake I made. I would come up with an idea, and I'd write a book, not thinking through, will people read the book? Are people interested in the book? Okay? Jeff Smith said, get out of the cave and kill something. I like that. Okay. I like that. We can definitely sell that in my hometown, Jeff. Okay. The Chase, I like that. Okay. She's on to something. Good. Eric Dooley says she's on to something. I agree. All of these are great titles. Now, what we're looking for is the best title. That's what we're looking for. We're not looking for a title. We're looking for the best title. And one way to find that is to go through and market test it like we just did. Now, here's secret number 3. You believe there are external factors that are prohibiting you from writing this book, okay? Now, what does that mean? Here's a case study. Let me give you some examples. Andy Garrison, who's with us tonight, who's I'm about to bring on, took all of my content on legacy selling, which I did for my online academy, and he turned it into a book. You have a process. You have a system. You have an outline. You can codify this. Remember that word codify, because what writing a book really is, I'll take this book, for example. This is my newest book, Single Digit Millionaire. I kept getting a question over and over and over. And the question was, how did you go from a high school basketball coach to where you are today, to running this coaching business, to doing this, to speaking and coaching and training? And it was the same question over and over. So I finally said, you know what? I'm going to write a book on the process that I went through to get from where I was to where I am today. And we packaged that up into a book called Single Digit Millionaire. We self-published this book. We made it into a hardback copy. We sell it for $10 to $20. We use it as a lead magnet, which we'll talk about here in just a few minutes. So just remember, codify. Codify means you look back, package up what you did to become successful, and then sell it. You've baked the cake, now you're selling the recipe. That's all a book is. You bake the cake, now you're selling the recipe. You have a process. You've codified that. Andy, I want you to talk more about how you took my book, Legacy Selling, from an online academy to this. Now, here's the interesting thing. When Andy did this for me, I didn't ask him to do it. He was in my coaching program. He came to my $1 Million Coaching Summit, and he walked up to me and he said, here's your book on legacy selling. This is a book I should have written years ago because I've had the selling system for 10 years, but I never got around to doing it. I knew I should write it. And Andy walked up and in one meeting said, here's your book, coach. That's the power of having another person ghostwrite the book by using it. So Andy, talk to the people about how that process works.
Yeah, guess it doesn't have to be your own book to open doors, huh?
That's right.
So the interesting thing about what we did with legacy selling with you, Coach, was you had all the content, right? I mean, it was in there. And the difference with you in that situation than a lot of folks is you just already kind of codified it, like you said, and put it into your online academy. So for us, it's really easy to take it, gather that content, put it together, organize it, transcribe it, kind of clean it up with some editing and maybe some refreshing and moving things around, and then putting a few different calls to action inside to try to use it within it to be a little bit more of a lead generator as well. And then, like you said, package it up and publish it. But the really cool thing about that is if you didn't have that content already, Coach, we would just sit and have a conversation. I'd say, hey, Coach, tell me about legacy selling. What is this? What does this even mean? How do you use it with people? How long have you been using it? What do you do? How do you execute it? Right? And you're talking and we're recording this stuff, and that right there is creating the content. And so it's a really efficient way. It's something I've had to learn myself. I know you know this completely, right? That we all have that content inside of us. It's just sometimes, whether it's to help with someone else, family, friend, or ghostwriter, whatever it might be, to bring that out of you and have that conversation, and then that sort of forms the content. And we get so wrapped up, I think, in generating the content and thinking that to generate that needs to also be a perfectly edited draft of a book, right? And to your point, you're always talking about just get the content out and go from there.
So when you think about this, I want to use, and thank you for Andy for that. Basically, he took my content. We did not have one conversation. He took my videos. He transcribed those videos. He put them into a book. I came back and within 1 hour added some content, and voila, we have a book. We can then take that book, package it, sell it, put it on Amazon, turn it into a program. If you study John Maxwell, who is one of the top business authors, he sold 50 million books. He hasn't written 75 to 85 of those books. He has a ghostwriter named Charlie Wetzel. Charlie Wetzel is on the inside of every book. He says, I'd like to thank my writer, Charlie Wetzel. John Maxwell comes up with the ideas. He writes up a structure. He sends it to Charlie Wetzel. Charlie Wetzel writes the books. Next thing you know, he's got a book. So to answer your question, Amanda Beener, great question. How do you make time when you're fresh into owning a business? Most of your time, this is the process you would go. You would bring in a ghostwriter through Monster Publishing like Andy. He would extract the information from you. He would help write the book through your information, and then voila, you have a book. Now you have a business card. You got a much better business card than an actual business card. Now you're a person of interest. Now you send the book out to people. Now people begin to see you as an expert. Then you add an element to it. I was coaching Les Walden and working with my good friend Les Walden today, who's on here tonight. He's had an incredibly successful real estate career. 10 or 15 years ago when I was working with him, I said, Les, you need a book. Les, you need a book. Les, you need a book. And he's come back circled and says, yes, I need a book. And then I want to speak. And then I want to add a coaching program or a boot camp to that. The message in the book is the first part of that, guys. And that's what's going to get the ball rolling. You don't have to do the heavy lifting. When I sat down and wrote this book, I wrote every word of it. In the new book, I wrote an hour and Andy wrote the rest of it, but it's all of my content. It's straight from my lips. It's straight from my mind. It's my work with Andy as the ghostwriter. So if you're interested in that option, then obviously email Lakin or Eric White and just text message them and let them know, I'd like to know more about Monster Publishing. We'll schedule a strategy call with you. We'll talk about the process and how you can do that. It's incredibly economical for you to do it. And the time and energy it'll save you is really ridiculous, okay? Because some of you, it may take you years to get this out when you can pump it out really, really quickly. Now, so let's talk about a few things here. Those are the 3 obstacles for you, right? You don't know how, you don't believe you can, and you believe there's external factors like time that are stopping you. I think about my wife when she wrote her first book called Living with the Monster, and it's up there in the corner. And I got excited when I spoke at 10X. We were having dinner. I sat down, I went on Facebook, and I typed out, I'm so proud of my wife for writing her first book called Living with the Monster. Okay. And because she was constantly saying that it's tough living with the monster. Our coaching program is Monster Producer. It's tough living with the monster. And I started thinking about all the people who were married to obsessed, driven, fanatical, focused people and how hard it is to live with those people. And when I went on there and voluntold my wife to write her first book, she was like, did you just volunteer me to write a book on Facebook? Like, did you literally just tell the world? Because she's got like 400 comments. Congratulations. I'm so proud of you. You did such a good job. And she said, I'm so scared. I've never written a book. I don't know what to do. And I made a simple statement to her. I said, is your desire to help people has got to overcome your desire to be comfortable. Writing a book is a duty. It's an obligation. It's a responsibility. It's something people are counting on you to help them, to show them how to do it, guys. You got to start saying, it's not should I write the book, it's I can't not write the book. You've been through too much. You've helped too many people. It's time for you to share those messages with other people. So your objections are, you don't know how. Well, we're showing you how. You don't believe you can. And I'm telling you, the number one reason most people fail is they don't even try. They don't believe they can do it. Number 3, you believe there's external forces. I'm too busy. I don't have time. How will I ever do this? I'm sitting here giving you an option on exactly how you can do it and pump it out at a very economical price. Now, I'd like permission to reveal something to you, if you guys would be open to something, because we've given you a lot of content tonight. And if this is piquing your interest, great, because this publishing piece will be a major part of my $1 Million Coaching Summit that's coming up May 7th through the 9th at my lodge in Tennessee. Andy Garrison went through this coaching summit. I'm going to ask him in just a second what he took away from that coaching summit. This is where I spend 2.5 days showing you step by step how to craft a message, how to get speaking engagements on that message, how to turn that message into a book, how to build a coaching program, how to build online program, right? In essence, I take the last 16 to 18 years of my career and I drill it down to the most important thing you need to publish your first book, get your first speaking engagement, cultivate your own coaching business, okay? And I'm going to be doing that May 7th through the 9th coming up 2020 at my lodge in Tennessee. If you have questions or interest in that, you can text Blake and Hibden or Eric White, who's on here tonight, and do that to inquire about this important summit coming up that you don't want to miss. I'm telling you. Andy, tell the people how the coaching summit has really helped you, because we had a gentleman that came to the coaching summit named Cody Askins. He's writing his first book. He said he's built a speaking division of his company that could generate as much as $600,000 in his first year, right? And, I mean, I thought it was one of the best things that we did last year. Speak to the people on there about how the coaching summit ties into the publishing piece.
Yeah, absolutely, Coach. I mean, first off, it was just awesome. So I've been in Monster for almost 3 years now, so I had a good feel for things, but the coaching summit was more than I thought it was going to be, because you kind of just took everything you've been doing and laid it out over 3 days, I think it was, and felt like 20 days packed into 3 maybe, but it was good. But we got a ton of stuff, and what I walked away with, and I know you know exactly what I'm saying here, Coach, and I'll explain it more in a second, but it's not just Charlie Wetzel, like you talked about for John Maxwell, right? It's not just getting the book done. It's Paul Martinelli, or what do you do on the back end of it, right? And how can you leverage that message that you're talking about? How can you leverage what you turn into a book, that concept, that position you're creating? And I'm picturing that wheel you showed us with all those different ways, speaking to web courses, everything all over that you can do, and exactly how do you extend that out from that core message and build all of those things, but also do it in a cohesive whole. And it was just fantastic. I think that's exactly what Cody's doing. It's what I've followed up with a lot of the people from there. It's what I think everybody's really, really building on now. And it was just really cool. The other thing that not related to this, but just some of the people there and being in the room with some of there's some kind of, high level, big time people, I guess, to put it bluntly, inside of that room. And it's just, it's a good mindset to kind of put your head around and expand your thinking, activate some prey drive, right?
Well, Chastity Davenport was also there at the coaching summit, and she just typed in the coaching summit was life-changing. I think when I look back in 2019, of all the things I did, that was the best thing that I did, because it really allowed me to take all of my experiences over 18 years and package it into a 2.5-day experience. And when people walked out of there, they walked out of there not only motivated, but with the plan to speak and coach and train. And what Andy was referring to is a wheel that I show of, once you have this book, once you have this message, once you have this one thing, I show you how to speak on it, coach on it, train on it, lead on it, build online programs for it, build train the trainer, licensing around it. I basically show you how to monetize the book in 12 to 15 ways. And these are secrets I learned many years ago from one of the top speaking agents in the country, when he showed me this is how you do it. So the link is in the notes. Katrina just posted the link. If you're ready to go tonight, you can go ahead and go there, take action on the coaching summit. I think we only have 30 spots left for the one in May. I think it will be one of the best things that we do. And it ties everything together. So you don't just want a book, okay? The book is the message that you need, okay, to tie the whole thing together, the speaking, the coaching, the training, the leading, everything into one thing. It can literally help you go, okay? Omar said he's in. Omar, I'm glad to see you, man. It's going to be incredible. This is going to help take everything to another level. So other people that are in, just go ahead and let us know that you're in, and we'd love to see you there. Now, what happens when you write the book, guys? What happens when you write the book? First thing you will get when you write this book, and I think is one of the most important things, is an increased confidence and an increased person of interest score. Your own internal confidence will go up because you will have your philosophy on paper. You will have codified what has helped you become successful, okay? This is so much stronger than a business card. It positions you as an expert. You have thought out your thoughts and shared them with us. This will open more doors and lead to so much opportunity that you don't even imagine right now. If you ask me today, what's been one of the single greatest things you've done over the last 20 years, I would tell you, write the book. The book gave me the message. People will begin to see you in a different way. Okay. Now, who will it work for? Any person. Worked for my wife. She'd never written a book in her life. Okay. She'd never been a personal development person. She'd never gone down that road. She never had any coaching on this. When she wrote that book, she then began to get asked to speak at women's conferences. She began to want to do, people want to coach one-to-one. One of the companies we coach hired her to coach all the women, all because she had this book on this concept. Okay. And a question came in from Antoinette. Where is the Tennessee location? It's at my lodge, which is about 40 minutes from Nashville, Tennessee, Antoinette. You would come into Nashville. It's about 40 minutes. That's where the coaching summit is. We take about 50 people per coaching summit. Okay, so great question. Now, when you think about this, there are secrets to making a book a bestseller, because I know you're interested in that. We talked about the difference between self-publishing and getting a publishing deal. Now I want Andy to speak to the concept of making the book a bestseller, because when you can say best-selling author, right, that it drives so much more. It's not just you have a book, you have a best-selling book. So Andy, speak to the concept of the algorithms and the science behind making a book a bestseller.
Yeah, you bet, Coach. And so it is a science, right? And that's what's neat about it, because anytime you have something that's a science, you can implement it and execute it and repeat it and deliver on it. And when we're talking about bestseller here, we're talking about Amazon, and there's a couple reasons to it. I personally believe that Amazon can be almost the most legit way to achieve bestseller status, because it's based on facts and numbers, and it's not an editorial driven list like the New York Times or Wall Street Journal or something like that. But Amazon is so powerful. Obviously, they're the biggest bookseller out there, right? So if you can achieve bestseller status in one or more categories on the largest bookseller out there, that also happens to be the #1 search engine in the entire world for people who have a problem that they want solved or want to spend money, it's a good place to be, right? But if you can have that and achieve that in there, it takes that status you get from being a published author and taking it to a whole new level, right? I mean, having a book and being a published author opens doors. We've all seen that. My own personal experience, Coach, I've shared with you and others. But being able to say you're a best-selling author completely changes the game. Everyone perks up with that. It's immediate respect. It's immediate. You talk about raising our status, right? Creating some local celebrity and such, Coach. And I mean, that's exactly what it does. So when we're looking at Amazon, they have it's based on ranking versus just pure number of sales. And so every product, books included on Amazon, has what's called an Amazon bestseller ranking. And it's basically their number that says out of all the books on Amazon, what number is yours. So the one has an Amazon bestseller ranking of 1, outsold every other book on Amazon, right? They have one that has an Amazon bestseller ranking of 10, outsold all but 9 books on Amazon, and it goes up and up and up. Now, the cool thing with Amazon is there's really 3 things you want to focus on when you're creating a bestseller launch or a bestseller strategy on there. And so Amazon has their overall, they have like their top 100 books, their top 100 new releases, which you can actually target if you do things right and kind of focus on a lot of the promotion on the front end. But they also have a bunch of different categories. And categories are the single biggest missing structure that people have when they're loading their book on Amazon, whether they're publishing through Amazon, they're publishing outside of Amazon and dropping it on there. Is if you go in and when you load your book, you publish your book, there's really only 2 categories, or you can select 2 categories from Amazon out of about 1,600. And the trick is if you know what you're doing and kind of go in the back end, you can actually get up to 10 categories out of about 16,000 different categories in there. And so what that does is if you think about opening that amount of categories, it's going to do 2 things for you. One is kind of medium-term and long-term driven, and that's making sure you find the exact right categories for your books, so you're getting the right eyeballs on your book, right? And so you have the people that are, if you're doing a finance book, it's in the right area of finance. If you're doing a personal development book, it's in the right area. If you're doing legacy selling, that it's in the right area of sales and selling within Amazon too. So you have 10 categories to do that, but it also opens up the opportunity for you to identify categories that are right for your book, but are also less competitive for your book. And by less competitive, I mean, there's the overall books that make up the top 20 or the top 10 or the top 25, whatever list you're looking at on there, it requires fewer sales within that category to work your way up the chart. So there is a very legitimate way to become a best-selling author on Amazon, and it's based off of Amazon's algorithms and how they calculate it. So the ultimate goal with categories is to find the right ones that fit your book so that the people who are searching find your book and it's appealing to them. And then it's also ideal to pick a couple of those categories that are less competitive but still fit your niches so that you can find yourself, as you follow the rest of the strategies, building your way up towards the top of the list and top of the rankings. The other thing that you want to make sure you do might feel a little obvious at first, but really having a strategy behind it, we find does a lot for people, and that is making sure your book's really appealing, right? We've all heard about judging a book by its cover. It needs to have a cover that is not only attractive and appealing, but very clear in the message as well of what it is and what to expect. In addition to that, you need to make sure that the copy, so what's on the back cover of the book and what's in your Amazon description, is attractive and truthful so that people that buy it understand, or when they land on your page, they're ready to buy it. Coach, and I think I saw Jonathan's name flap around in there too, that when they buy your book, it's their first purchase with you. It's their first introduction to you as well. And so you want to make sure that you're honoring that and you're being very clear with what it is in there. And then the third thing that you want to make sure you're doing within there is you want to make sure you're getting some social proof. And so when we're talking about monster publishing and process we use for folks, we always have a live date where the book goes live, and then we have the launch date where we go for bestseller launch. And what happens in the meantime there is you want to work on getting 6 to 8 people that are going to buy that book right away when it goes live, order it, make sure they have Prime, right? So it gets there in a couple days. And then 24 hours after they get it, you want them writing a review. And that's really important, because if they wait 24 hours and they write a review for it, it will be a verified purchase and a verified review. And those can work their way to the top. And there's a lot of neat things you can do to kind of help the reviews that are the most helpful for people rise to the top in there as well. We all have tried to buy something on Amazon where it looked really good, but it had no stars at all next to it or no rankings or reviews. And we all shied away from it, right? And so what we don't want to do is end up on launch day where you're trying to go for bestseller and have 0 reviews on your book. So when you combine those together, you want to tie those into Amazon's algorithm and how they structure their bestseller ranking. And while they keep it secret, there's kind of some pretty good schools of thought on it that have proven out to be pretty accurate in practice. And so Amazon is really focused on bunched sales. How much can you sell in just like Coach said, a very condensed period of time? And by condensed, we're talking an hour or two, not a week, not a month. If you look at like the New York Times or Wall Street Journal, even USA Today, they're talking over a month or a week generally in there. So Amazon allows you to focus a period of time where you have a lot of concentrated sales come in and take advantage of the way they structure it. And so ultimately what you're trying to do is identify the right categories, have some social proof with good reviews before launch, and then you're making sure your description is attractive and appealing to people in the book, and you're driving people to that. And what happens is you build up in some promotion that we like to do, Coach, and that most folks probably should do on the front end before they launch it, can drive people to purchase in a concentrated period of time. And so, for example, we'll often tell people you want to launch on this day, and we'd like you to buy the book between 8:15 and 8:45 a.m. And that forces the sales in there. And what that can do, if you do all of that right, it allows you to jump up to the top of the charts, 2 different charts, one, the bestseller ranking on Amazon, but also the hot new release category on Amazon. And when you do that, everything starts falling into place because you get more eyeballs on it if you put them in the right categories. And it's just kind of this upward cycle of people that search for the hot new releases, and they kind of get what we call the Amazon juice, right? Get promoted a little bit by Amazon and get some additional fuel there. Happy to go in more detail, Coach, but if
well, there's some questions here, and there's strategy behind this. And when you think about it, some questions are endorsements. Do endorsements matter? I made this book a bestseller on Amazon. Some of the strategies that Andy just mentioned is we pre-sold the book. We heavily incentivized people to buy the book. We sat on the orders of the book. So they went to my website, they pre-ordered the book. We gave them video. We incentivized them heavily to buy the book. And then the publisher purchased all the books at the point of release, which showed thousands of hits on Amazon. And that immediately drove the book up to a best-selling status. This book has no endorsements. Okay, so the endorsements in the old days really, really mattered. If you go to a bookstore, you check the endorsements. The book I have, Zebras and Cheetahs, has endorsements for some of the top people in the world on it. But some of the books that have become bestsellers have no endorsements. It literally has to do with the concentrated period of time that people purchase the book. And there's strategies that you can use, campaigns prior to the book to ensure that you move the book at a very high volume. And that's really what we did here. So the endorsements, not so much matter. Is it nice to have big endorsements? Of course it is. But it really has to do with how many people concentrated by the book and how you get their attention and keep their attention to purchase the book in a concentrated period. And there's certainly strategies that we could show you to do that. And we'll talk about that at the coaching summit. Now, you're probably thinking most likely will take you years to figure all this stuff out on your own, right? That's why I'm so glad you're here tonight. I have the blueprint. I can show you the way. Doing it 16 times, we can get your book out quicker than you ever imagined and help you get on the stages around the world to do the book. Very important. The logic says this is hard. The problem is you just don't have a plan. One person mentioned to me that writing a book's like starting a new business. Like there's a strategy behind it. There's a process. It's not like in the old days, you just write a book and hope it sells. Like when I wrote my first book, I thought it was going to be like Harry Potter. Like I was going to go to the bookstore and there were going to be thousands of people in line to buy my book, right? Little did I know, it's like, we got to make the book important. We got to tell people what problem the book solves. We got to market and distribute the book. Now, I'm going to show you how to use the book as a lead magnet, because the only purpose, if you're thinking I'm going to write this book just for money, you're thinking about it all in the wrong way. What if I told you one of the largest coaching contracts I ever signed was because the president of a company in Houston, Texas, walked into a Barnes and Nobles, liked the title of the book, Everybody Needs a Coach in Life, read the book, gave it to the founder of the company, and I was on a plane the very next week there to do coaching with them. From that, we signed a 6-figure contract, all because of the book. I didn't know the people. I didn't know them before the people, right? Then I didn't know them before they wrote the book. The book was what got their attention and helped me get the meeting. The meeting helped me sign the contract. So for you, I want to show you how to use the book as a lead magnet. Now, when you use the book as a lead magnet, we're using this to attract leads. Okay, we're using this to attract leads. So you speak. So imagine me speaking at a conference or an online webinar in these worlds during social distancing. And I'm doing an online webinar. We call this a showcase, right? Gives you a chance to showcase your abilities. Now that you got the book, right? You do speaking engagement online or offline. You offer the book or the ebook or the real book in exchange for their information. Hey guys, I'm going to give you a copy of my book, Single Digit Millionaire. All you have to do is text into this number. You text into the number. All they have to do is pay for the shipping of the book. You ship the book to them. Now you have their phone number, email, and information. Why? So you can start a conversation with them. So this is the way we generate up to 1,000 leads a month. The book becomes a lead magnet, right? You get your phone, you get the email, you get their name. You generate new leads to call and do what? Do a strategy session with. This generates sales and new opportunities. The book is the message. If they're attracted to the message, then they will be attracted to your product and services. But you can't do this if you don't have what? If you don't have the book, okay? The book gets you on the stage. The book is the reason people are coming. The book is the reason you get the message, okay? So when you think about it, I want you thinking about this concept of what is your book, right? We're currently using Single Digit Millionaire to inspire people around the world to transition from where they are to where they want to go. That's the book we're using. We're using my book, The Accountable Church, to open doors in the faith-based arena. This is an area we've never been into before. So now we're targeting different demographics. I'm writing books for different groups that open doors in different areas. So this becomes a lead magnet for you to get in the door. Now, along the way of writing this book, you're going to have lots of questions. Again, I believe it seems complicated with many moving parts. We've done this so many times that it's routine habit for us now. At my coaching summit, I'm going to walk you through each step of the way. We'll also walk you through how to make it a bestseller. Now, one question is the benefits of Audible and audio recording. Yes, once you have the book, you certainly want to take it to Audible. You certainly want to put it on an MP3. You certainly want to turn it into a coaching program. You certainly want to turn it into a message, right? The book is the beginning stage. Now, I wouldn't recommend going at this alone, guys. I really wouldn't. This is what I did in the beginning, and I didn't have a plan and I didn't have a strategy. My first 2 books We're not very good. Matter of fact, we don't even sell those books today. Somebody was trying to find one on eBay today, and they couldn't even find one of my first 2 books, right? Because I didn't have a coach. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a strategy. You'll stumble through the process of getting a good outline, completing the book, or getting the publishing down. Many years ago, I thought it'd be a good idea to write a book, to help people write books, but I couldn't get them to stay on schedule. I couldn't get them to finish the books. I started coaching 10 different authors, and none of those authors would stay on schedule. Think about all the ideas you've had in your life that you never finished, okay? And as long as they're ideas, you can never monetize the idea. This is something Les Walden and I was talking about today. All of the speaking engagements Les has had over his life. If he would have had a book and a program and something else, and I said to him, this is a mistake I made. You may be leaving millions of dollars on the table of money that you could capture and recapture if you had a book that turned into a program or a boot camp or retreat. And that's really the benefit of coming to the coaching summit. Now, at our $1 Million Coaching Summit, May 7th through the 9th, 2020, it's coming up in about a month. We're going to lay out all of this for you. It's packaged in a way that will make it easy and possible to take action on. And this is what Andy said when he came to it. I packaged this up into an easy way to do it, okay? When you add up all the cost of these things, learning how to speak, building your message, having a coach, creating a publisher, you could be looking at $20,000 to $50,000 for a project like this. I know some done-for-you publishers that charge $30,000 to write the book, and some that charge as much as $100,000 to make it a bestseller. These are all things I've gone through in my lifetime. So the investment for the Coaching Summit is going to show you exactly how to do that, offer a strategy on how to build your message, and the investment for the Coaching Summit is only $5,000. For those of you who are excited about this, who take action tonight, I'm going to give you a special VIP night with me and Andy, okay? On the Friday night where we do an intimate Q&A on your book and your speaking career. I'm also going to offer you a review of your outline of your book with feedback from me on the structure. I'm going to talk to you about how to make it more compelling, how to counsel you on how to create a better title and a better hook. Now, I'm personally paying about $7,500 per month for coaching on these topics, how to write a hook, how to make it more compelling, how to do that. For the people who take action on the Coaching Summit tonight, we're going to give you a VIP night. I'm going to look at your book. I'm going to offer a strategy session around the book, and Andy and I are going to help you make it more compelling. But you got to take action tonight on the Coaching Summit to get the special VIP event. Now, when you think about this, what's the mistakes that people make? The link's in there. If you want to take action tonight, the link's in there. You can sign up tonight. We're going to get you to the Coaching Summit. We're going to spend 2.5 days with you. You're going to walk out of there with a plan, strategy, right? A mindset, book, some VIP personal time with us, and it's going to be incredibly valuable for you. That could turn into hundreds of thousands of dollars. One of our last Coaching Summit people said he already thought he was going to generate up as much as $600,000 from the Coaching Summit on speaking and coaching. He'd already gotten 6 speaking engagements. He'd already started his book, and it's going to be very, very powerful. Now, one of the biggest mistakes I've seen people make is a mistake I made on my first 2 books, guys. And I'm embarrassed that I made these mistakes. I didn't seek help. Therefore, I wrote marginal books that didn't sell. Okay, I wrote marginal books that wouldn't sell. My first 2 books, I went at it alone, and it was such a mistake. It wasn't until my 3rd book and probably 4 to 5 years into the writing process that I wrote a good book, and that was a book called This Ain't No Practice Life. I didn't have any coaching. I didn't have any structure. I didn't have any of these things, okay? Zach said if I could sign up twice, I already would. Zach already signed up for the Coaching Summit, so thank you, and I look forward to seeing you there, big guy. So here's what I didn't have. I didn't have a clear and compelling message. I didn't have a marketing plan. I didn't have a way to monetize the message. This was a big mistake, going at it on my own. It cost me time, cost me money, cost me energy. In my 3rd book, This Ain't No Practice Life, I hired a coach and a consultant to teach me how to do it the right way. What were the tactics on Amazon? How do I have a bestseller? How do I get people to purchase the book? How do I turn it into a product that I can sell? I should have done this to begin with to save me time and money. I could have earned so much more money on these concepts, guys. Like I said, it took me 15 books to figure out some of these concepts. Now, when you started down this path, how much could it be worth if you took action? You start down this path, I believe it could be worth, who knows, $100,000 more to you, $1 million more to you, $5 million more dollars. We got people that saying, hey, now I'm speaking and coaching and training. It's not just the speaking fees that you're going to make money from. It's the opportunity to get in front of people. You don't need more money. You need more people. And when you get in front of more people, you make more money. All of the money you're looking for is in the connections out there, guys. So if people call me today and said, we're going to put you in front of 500 people, but we're not going to pay you a speaking fee, I would say, I'll take it. Why? Because I get in front of 500 potential prospects to sell a coaching program, to articulate a message. Okay. So I believe, here's what I believe, that there's a cost to everything. Okay. But the value has got to be much greater than the cost. What's the cost of time and energy? What's the cost of indecision? Right? Remember, the number one reason people don't get started writing their own books because they don't believe they can, or they have a hesitation that other people would not read their books. I believe there's a tremendous cost to waiting for the time to be right. I mean, I wrote The Accountable Church in one day. I wrote The Accountable Church in one day. Okay. Justin said, I've written 9 chapters in my first book, Stop, months back. I feel I have more chapters to write. Is there a standard on how many chapters? Here's what I would tell you. Most of the books that I write are 7 chapters. Okay. Seven is a number of completion in the Bible. So I have a big concept. I write 7 chapters in the book. I write 3 supporting arguments for those 7 chapters. That gives me 7 things to talk about, right? I got 21 things because I got 3 supporting things. So I got 21 things to talk about on the one book. Great question. Now, how many of you have ever read a book and said to yourself, really? Like what qualified them to write that book, right? Like what qualified them to write the book? Okay. And you probably said, I could write a book better than this. And you know why? Because you can. And I'm so confident in our system that we developed to help you speak, coach, train, lead, because we produced almost $10 million with this system. We know how to get you started. This first book will get you started. The book gets you speaking engagements. Now, you're probably thinking it's going to cost me a lot of time. Here's what I tell you. Not taking action is going to cost you time. Right? Not taking action is what's going to cost you. How long have you thought about this idea? How long has that message been inside of you? Think of the lives you could have impacted if you had the book. Think of the stages you could have gotten on if you had the book, right? Now, I told you I was going to give you a bonus if you take action tonight on the book. For those of you who take action tonight on the Coaching Summit, where we talk about publishing, I'm going to give you a special VIP night with me and Andy on that Friday night, intimate Q&A. We're going to look at your speaking career. I'm going to review your book, right? We're going to give you feedback on the structure. We're going to help you with the hook of that book, all for the people that take action on the Coaching Summit tonight. Katrina posted the link. I'd love for you to go ahead and get in because I'm telling you, this will springboard everything in your life, okay? Now, or you can take action right now by texting Eric White or texting Lake and Hibden if you want to do a strategy session with me or you're interested in the publishing division. You can text Eric White or you can text Lake and Hibden. Now, I want to challenge you as we end up tonight because you know, Andy, a good coach, I have conversations with you that you don't want to have. Okay, they'll make you do some things you don't want to do, Sean Vernon. They'll help you become something you didn't think you could become. I want to challenge you. If you don't take action tonight, you may never take action, guys. I say this when I speak. There's people in the room tonight that know they need a coach. They know I can speed up the process. They know we've got a proven track record. And I say, when you walk out those doors, if you don't take action, you may never take action. The probability of you taking action goes down by 90% when you don't take action when you're focused on something. Just like Andy took action on writing books, just like Jonathan Hawkins took action on coming to the Coaching Summit, just like Cody Askins came, just like Chastity Davenport, just like Sean Vernon, just like Omar, just like all of these people who said, man, I want America's coach coaching me. I want Andy in my corner helping me publish this book, right? I want to go out and generate thousands, if not millions of dollars with the message I have inside of me. Guys, you got the message. The only thing you're missing is a good coach to coach you through it. So I want to challenge you. Take action tonight. Let's go. Say I'm in. Get on over there, and let's do it. Denise, I'm going to see you there at the summit. Does it make sense to write the book before the summit? Here's what I would tell you, Denise. If you do write the book, there's never the right time to start writing the book other than now. When you go through the summit, you're going to see how to take the book and turn it into all these other things: speaking, coaching, training, leading. You're going to take one concept and make it even bigger. So there would be no harm in you go ahead and writing the book before you come to the summit. And if you don't write the book before the summit, we'll show you how to write it, how to make it a bestseller when you come there. Okay. Is there anyone that has any questions? Thank you for sticking around to the end. Okay. The bonus is if you take action, we're going to give you some special things. If you want to do a strategy session with me on your book, okay, I told you you can text Eric White or Lakin Hibden tonight, and I'd be happy to do a short strategy session on the book, some of those things. But if you come to the coaching summit, I'm telling you, it's not a game changer, guys. It's a life changer. That's the number one thing I would tell you. What questions do you have? Kelly Knowles, thank you guys for showing up tonight. Omar, Pam and David White, Phyllis Pritchard, Scott Miller, Seth Thomas, Steve Martinez, okay, Susan Sullivan, Pink Zebra, Amanda Banks, Amanda Beener, Antoinette, Brandon Burks, Chastity, Chelsea Colbreth, Christopher, Dan Green, Emilio, okay? Guys, I want to thank you for showing up tonight. Jeff Jackson, you guys showed up. I appreciate you spending an hour with me. Hubert Payne, Jacob Gibson, James Herring, Jay Cash. Jay Cash, if you don't write that book, I'm going to track you down, big guy. Jessica White, Josh Shaw's got a book in him. Justin, Karen Maxwell, Katrina Gray, Nanette. Look at all these people. Michael Cutbrith. Man, we got all kinds of folks on here tonight. So if you don't have any questions, I want to thank you for showing up tonight. It's been a great webinar. If you need anything from us, if you want to take action tonight, get all the extras, I encourage you. If not you, then who? If not now, then when? We'll show you how to write the book. We'll show you how to speak. We'll show you how to play at a very, very high level. And let's see. There, Kelly knows I have my 4-book idea. There we go. Don't write one book, Kelly. Write the whole library. This is what I want to see at your house, Kelly. I want to see all these books behind you. And it all started with just one book, one idea, one concept, right? The whole thing is just getting started, guys. So can't wait to see you at the Coaching Summit. I'm Coach Michael Burt. Andy, you did a great job tonight. I can't wait to get my book, Legacy, selling out to the market. It's going to help a lot of people. Justin says, I'm motivated to get this book finished, man. You got it. Thank you, Justin, for showing up tonight. And thank you for everybody for being coachable. I'm Coach Michael Burt. I believe everybody needs a coach. I'm excited to help you. So let's do strategy. Let's get you to the summit. Let's get you rolling. If not you, then who? If not now, then when? Don't let this book live inside of you any longer. It's time to get it out and get it to the market. You guys have a great evening.